This is the Maryland Murder Machine, Mason Martin, and you are watching the 3 Count Podcast.
Yeah, when the sun goes down, i.e. Nick Dog.
Well, by now, if you're listening to this intro, you know what that means. This is Now Entering 201, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And like every good Sherpa, it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering? You can find this man at ACW. You can find this man probably at MCW. You can find this man at SCWA. You can find this man all over Pennsylvania to include HWF. You guys know what that is because I've been there a few times. You guys can catch this man up and down the East Coast and even out as far as Kansas and into the Midwest. He is a Maryland murder machine, the Baltimore Beast, the man who helped break me into the business, Mason Martin.
I don't know how to follow that. That was impressive.
All off of memory too.
That was dope, man.
Yo, how you been, man? It's been a long time since we've done this.
I have been great. Just been back on the grind after taking a few years off the business, so I've hit the ground running again. Uh, just traveling, and currently I'm recouping from all the traveling I just did this past weekend. It was a lot, so just
Yeah.
resting.
Well, and it's one of those things because like the last time we did this show with you was episode 19. We looked this up right before we came on there. We did episode 19, which means that it was like still during the pandemic, and it's just crazy to me to think about like how much has changed since 2020. You know,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like I mean we had the pandemic, we've had all this stuff going on. You know, I was growing still as a performer in the wrestling business when like you first met me and I was just like it was I'll be fair because I still am dog shit. Like
No, see that's the thing, man. You were never, you were never bad. Like you were annoyingly athletic. Like you would just see something and just get it where it would take me 100 times. But it was funny. It was like you were super athletic, but the things that came, it was frustrating for me because you could do all the things I could never do with relative ease, and then the things I could do with ease, you were like, I don't know how to do it. Like,
yeah.
and that was what would get me so frustrated. I'm like, you could do the hardest thing ever, but then to bump on contact, this is the 15th rep. Like,
Yo,
like
that was,
I'd look at you, hey Cliff, do a dive roll, just, boom, land it clean, no sound, no nothing. All right, now bump off this clothesline.
yeah.
Like, it was the most annoying thing for me because, like, as somebody who was helping, I'm just like, once you figure out the easy stuff, it's gonna be easy for you, and which it has, man. Like we haven't been able to wrestle each other. I think the only time we wrestled each other was in a practice match.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
It
and
was.
that's where I chipped your tooth.
Yeah. It was.
Which you so willingly reminded me of at a show.
That was like what was so funny was because like yeah, I was like so we were in the match and it was literally because like I think Pay Your Dues was there and they wanted to learn how to ref, and James Ellsworth was like, hey, like once you guys run a practice match, put something together, just a little 5-minute thing, and I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. So we just put it all together, and you had just like came back and you're like, hey, like I'm gonna hit you with this form and then I'm gonna hit you, and I was like, all right, cool. And so like as I came off the rope, I think I like two things happened. One, you were still relearning your range, and then two, like I stepped in like too close and then just boom, busted right in the mouth.
That is 110% my fault. It was not you getting too close. It was I had ring rust, and I was knocking my ring rust off, and it just so happened to literally knock onto you. So,
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna sit here and let you take half the blame. That was fully my fault.
Well, what made it funny was that like because like at that point like that's what hit, but then like I was at AEW and I was just there watching the show, sitting in the stands, and I was sitting there with Muscle Man Malcolm, And I was like, yo, something feel weird in my mouth. And I was like, ooh, and I spit my, and he goes, was that your teeth? I was like, yeah. That's, and I'm like, thinking back, like, what the hell was this? And then like it clicked, like, oh yeah, when Mason punched me in the mouth.
That was Mason Martin's fault. He's unsafe. Get
Well,
him
it was
out of here.
one of my favorite part of that story to talk about is when because we were working that practice match, and like I went to the buckle, and then I was like, I see dots, and you were like, do you really see dots? I was like, shut up and hit me.
See, that's the see. You know, I have this weird. Well, I don't really have it. I think other people do. They have like this misconception when they wrestle me. I guess because I'm a bigger guy and I just look a certain way that like I'm really like stiff or like rough. But my main thing is I want people to brag about how they didn't feel anything. Now, when I throw a lariat, like I always tell people, you're gonna feel one thing in the match, and I'm gonna hit you with the lariat. I gotta throw the lariat. That's the finish. That's what we're gonna do. So times like that is a prime example to show like who I am really as a wrestler and not just like the persona. Like I was genuinely concerned. I was
Yeah.
gonna wrap it up. Like I don't. They can, he can smack the mat on his own. Get at it. Like we're done. Like, but he, there you go. That's a testament to Cliff and his selling abilities. He worked me over in the middle of the match.
In
So
the middle of a match.
you know,
Oh, I think I had a gum spot too. And like that popped James too, because like we were going back and forth just throwing yay boos, and I just like I had gum in my mouth, and the first shot I was like, pooh, and I just heard him go, Jesus. I love it was funny because I was working Kurt Blair at SWA, and he threw this super kick, and everyone swore it connected. And I was like, nah, didn't even touch. But like the way my head just rocks back, and just like I look out and I'm stunned, eyes are huge. It was like, yo, are you okay? I was like, bro, I'm great. What happened? I'm like, yo, we thought he really kicked you.
see, to me that is the most beautiful thing in wrestling is that when you don't even touch, but the crowd, the boys, everybody watching is convinced that somebody got hurt, but nobody got touched. To me, that's chef's kiss. Like the high spots are cool, the jumping over the rope, but like that is, oh my god. To me, that's my favorite thing in wrestling is to walk up to somebody, not touch them, but hear a whole crowd of people go, like that. To me, that's the coolest thing in wrestling, and I think you know it's funny we talk about this because I had this random like thought, like epiphany, if you will. Now that I'm in more of like a teacher trainer role now, I see a lot of like greener guys and stuff. They love having the reputation of being stiff, you know? Like I had I'm not gonna name names because, whatever. But I had a nice gentleman come to me and the first thing that he says to me, shakes my hand. He does shake my hand, because that's the most important thing. uh, Shakes my hand, but instead of telling me his name, like ask me how my, ride was, or me be able to ask him, he goes, "I just want to let you know I'm stiff,"
I
and
bet
I'm like, I don't know where to go from here.
I
Cause
would
like
have. That
I'm
would have made it
like
even more awkward.
I'm just like, my name's Mason. It's nice to meet you. Like we're working together, so you know. And then that's when I go, well, I'll see you out there. Like we'll have fun. And then he came back, and then we talked over the match, and then he gave me a shot, and he knocked me. I knocked him back, and then I think we understood each other, and then we didn't touch each other the whole rest of the match. But like, I just if anybody hears this and takes one thing away from this interview, and they're a performer, being stiff and labeled as stiff is not inherently a good thing. It's not. There's genres in wrestling that call for that. I've done the death matches. I've done strong style. Like I've done all of that, all the way from comedic all the way to a death match. And I can tell you right now that you never want to be remembered for the guy that hits people too hard. Like this is a work. Like we put tights on and fight for a belt. Like this is we're not. We all got to go to work on Monday.
Yep.
Like not to get too far off track, but like I just wanted to state that, and I was like, this would be a good platform to put that out there for anybody who is maybe misled or nobody explained it to them. Like being stiff is not like the brownie points that you think it is.
Yeah.
Like it's not. And I also went through that weird time in my, I say this lightly career, but my time in wrestling, I used to think that was like cool. Like, like it makes you a tough guy. It doesn't. Like it just gets you like a shit or a bad reputation. I don't know if I can curse, but
Yeah.
it gets you a bad reputation and it's just not like worth it. Not to be preachy, but like I had that epiphany earlier today and I'm like, this would be a perfect place to put that out there.
Well, like, and also you actually get brownie points for looking like you hit stiff, but don't. Like
Right.
you get over with the boys, boys and girls and women, right? Men and women. You get over with the people like so much more if you're just like you just throwing like this heavy shot, but like it doesn't land, or people are like, holy shit, like either he sold that really, really well, or you like knocked him out. And it's like, well, I didn't even touch him. Like that's you get points for that. Like I get a lot of people who talk about like how much fun I am in being having a locker room, but also a lot of people will be like, he works snug. Like you'll feel it, but it's not gonna kill you. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even like working snug. Like I want you guys to like it looks devastating, but you guys are like, oh no, you know what? He didn't really hit me.
Right. And look, man, like there's a time and a place for just about everything in wrestling. Wrestling is its own art form. As you look at art, there's a vast difference in art. But the one thing I will say is like there's a time and a place for everything, right? Like if you trust a person, like, me and Cliff came up with me. Like if me and Cliff were in a 3 month long program and we're in this big blow off and we decide to be really tight in a strike off, that's the time to do it. Not I just met Cliff today. I don't know him from Adam. He don't know me from Adam. We both just did 3 hours in the car. We're both dog shit tired and we're sweating while lacing our boots before we go out there. And then we're gonna go punch each other in the face. That's not how you do that. Like it's not. And then a lot of times I find like people turn it into a pissing contest too. And that's the most worrisome thing for me because I'm like, look, dude, like you're 160 pounds and I'm 315 right now. Like, crap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not
Yeah.
worth it. Like, it's just it's dumb. It's at the end of the day, it's dumb. Like, there's a time and a place for everything, but some people, and I've seen it a lot recently. Unfortunately, like it's getting carried away. Like,
Yeah.
people are getting carried away with it.
People think that it's like it's good to like lay it in. It's like, no, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Because like
No,
you don't want to be
dude.
the guy that you don't want to be the guy, like let's just say like you're the guy that's like stiff and then you get caught. And now all of a sudden, like you have to go to work and you work, let's say just even in the education field, you're a teacher and you come in, you got a black eye. Now you got to explain to the kids like what happened. And it's like that's not cool. Or like you're the dude that you get, God forbid, you get concussed and you got miss work because you're concussed, because you were throwing shots or you took a shot because some dude just wanted to show that he can work stiff. Like, great, you can work stiff. Can you not touch him? Like
Yeah.
Ric Flair didn't hit nobody. We saw a video just recently, John Cena going viral, where they had the little speed bag, and
Hmm.
it's like, how hard can you hit it? And he threw 3 punches, never moved the bag. And he's like, 23 years in the business, never hit one person one time. Like, all right,
That's what you strive for. Like
yeah,
like, and another thing I think I like to, I think a lot of people it gets lost is that there's many levels in wrestling, but at its infancy and for a very long time, like it was the territories. Like whether you were a main event guy or you were, out doing the jobs, you were doing this full time. Like you were doing, shoots. Like you were You were loops rather. You were looping towns. Like you weren't just one and done. Like that's why it is so respected and like coveted because back in the day, like imagine you wrestled 300 times a year. Like out of 365 days, you wrestled 300 days a year. Would you want to get punched in the face 300 days out of the year? Like, no, you would not. And, I've noticed a lot of the guys that really enjoy that, like, stiff, unnecessarily rough 110 chops in a match and punch each other in the face. These are the guys that are working once a month. Not, and I'm not talking about anybody specifically, but if you feel like the shoe fits, then you're the problem. And that's what I'm saying. So, my DMs are always open if you feel like I'm slighting you personally, but I'm not talking about any one person. But a lot of the guys who do this kind of stuff, they work once a month. And then there's people like me that did 15 shows in 2 months. I don't need to get punched in the face. Like in October, I don't need to get punched on Friday, fly to Texas on Saturday, get punched in Texas, and then turn around, fly to Kansas on Tuesday with two black eyes. Like, I don't need it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not to put me over. That's just to reinstate the idea that even though that's an old analogy, it's still real to this day. Just because your schedule is light doesn't mean everybody else's schedule is light. And like you said, everybody's got a different shoot job. Like, I work at the port. I'm a manager. Like, I wear polo shirts to work and khakis. Like, I can't walk in there with black eyes. I have to wear hats because of the stupid, the scars I have from the death matches. When you look through here, I got lines all through here. So I wear hats. Like, you know what I mean? Like, knowing what I know now, I love death matches and I will forever have a soft spot for those. But, like, having a family and a career now, like, I got to be conscientious of that kind of stuff. And that revolts, and that goes back to people punching people in the mouth, in the eye, and, marks and scars and everything like that. Like, this is
Everything.
just, you do this on the weekend. You spend more time away from this than you do in this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't have to come in and be like, I'm the baddest man here. I hit people the hardest. Like, why?
I let you.
Yeah.
But what if I get a wild hair up my ass and I don't want to let you hit me no more?
Yep.
You
And
have the ability to hit me if I don't want you to.
then you do hit, and then you get hit back and you get knocked out. Now you're no longer the stiffest person in the ring. Like,
And that's another thing. Imagine making your whole persona off of being this, like, bad striker, and you get in a pissing contest with the wrong guy, and they just knock you out. That's it. Your whole gimmick is gone.
done.
It's done. You're done.
Was the dude Dr. Death, right? In the fall brawl or the brawl for all?
And he was a bad man,
He was
but
a bad
that
man.
fall, that brawl for all, it killed the legitimacy of a lot of people
Yep.
because of that same sentiment. And they were made to have to do that. That wasn't like a choice on their behalf. They were just like, this is our idea, and we pay you, so go do it. But
Yep.
like, and they're also making six figures. We're
Yeah.
not.
Yep.
We're not. That black eye is not worth that hot dog and packet of mustard to go with it, pal. Because they don't even
Absolutely
give
not.
handshakes no more. Like,
Like a
inflation
fist
took the
bump,
handshakes away.
and a curly fry. That's what I got. No, like it's funny because you mentioned death matches, and one of my favorite stories to talk about too is uh meeting Stockade, and aka Cade Lothbrock, right? And I remember like getting sent a message, right, about the match for, it was like IWA Vintage Pro Wrestling
Mm-hmm.
was when I got put in, and everybody was sending me message after message after message, and I just saw Cade, and I didn't think anything of it, right? I was like, all right, well, there's another dude that's been working a lot, and then everybody kept saying, they're like, do you know who Cade is? And I was like, no, it's a worker. That's all, and that's how I saw it. And they're like, well, he used to be in death matches, and his name's Stockade. His name was Stockade, and I was like, oh, okay. So I go back and like I start watching matches. It's like, I'm about to get murdered in this match, bro. Like, this was about to happen. And so like I remember like having conversations and stuff like that with everybody, and like I'm in my mind, I'm getting like like not wound up, but like nervous, right? And then I talk to you, and you're like, yeah, don't do this and don't do that, and don't say this to him, don't say that to him, let him do all this stuff. And I was like, all right, bet, bro. So and I sat there. I remember sitting in the back And then he comes to me and he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "What do you do?" And I was like, I just sell and I listen, bro. Like that's all I do, right?" And he started laughing. And then he's like, "Well, come with me and let's go call this match." And then I was like, "Oh," I literally said this. I go, "Mason Martin wants me to tell you." He says hi, and he's like, "Oh, really? You know Mason?" I was like, "Actually, I train with him." He's like, "Oh, really?" And then from there, like we get in the ring and we start talking, and like we were talking about the match and stuff like this, doing stuff. And then from there, like everything just goes like we have our match, and I thought the match went really well. There were some things that I could have like improved on, been better on, and we
Mhm.
talked about it afterwards. But it was just funny, like having a conversation. And then I brought him on the podcast, and do the big introduction and stuff. And then he was just like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I was like, not the personality I expected to come out. And then since then, like we've ran into each other a couple times at Kaiju, and we ran into like some other places, and it's just been like a good time. And then he recently just told me we are at Kaiju. He actually suggested a couple of places I should go work at, but he's like, "I love heel Red Dog." He's like, "Face Red Dog is cool, but he's like, I love your heel work right now." And I was like, "Oh, I appreciate that." I was like, "That means a lot coming from you right now, dude."
Stock was one of the people. I mean, I know he changed his name, but I'm so used to calling him Stock. But Cade was one of the people that took me under his wing when I was wrestling for H2O doing like deathmatch stuff. And I remember we got there, and me and him, we knew of each other. We had spoke at other shows. We never worked together. But I was a fan of his. Like I was as a kid, I was a huge deathmatch mark. So like I was watching him versus Matt Tremont at Beyond with the cinder block spots, and like man, like so him and Matt both were like those are my guys. Like this is like the pinnacle. You know what I mean? Like and I got to the show and I didn't have a guaranteed spot with H2O at the time. I had just went, I networked, and I made a good enough impression that when he had an opening on a random show, so he used to rent his venue out to different promotions, and a promotion canceled, so he didn't want to lose the crowd that he knew was coming, and he didn't want to lose the money, so he decided to run his own show. So as a last minute thing, he ran a show. It was called Mystery Violence, and it was random competitors in a random match. And I remember he told me he was like, "You're gonna wrestle Stockade." I did one match for him prior to that. It was Opportunity Knox, which was like a student slash like all the students would either wrestle each other or they would like wrestle a veteran, like a gatekeeper of the promotion. And I wrestled Jeff Cannonball in the first one, which I had a good match with him, but at the time he just didn't have room to fit me in. And I came back and I wrestled Stock, and that was the match that got me a job. And I'll forever be grateful for that because without him being so giving and like nice to me, I wouldn't have got a job. Like I would have went out there and just let him kill me because yeah, I was the greenhorn and he was the veteran, but he didn't view it that way. He was like, "You want to get a job, so let's go out here and work our ass off, and we'll get you a job." And ultimately that's what happened. Like he helped me get a job, and then we ended up getting married. And like almost every show I did for H2O, me and Stockade were either wrestling each other, or I was managing him, or we were married. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to see him for a few years now, just because when I split from H2O, and then H2O, I think he split with H2O as well, and now I don't think H2O is a thing anymore. The last I heard of it, but yeah, I've been trying to find shows solely just to go catch up with him. Like, um, but yeah, man, I can't say enough about how good of a person he is, and that all goes back to that whole thing. Even with me, like people look at you and they have a preconceived idea of what you are, but you will just be surprised, And like Stock's one of those people where he's the greatest person you'll ever meet, but he's very reserved and he stays to himself because the politics and everything like that. It's best to just kind of sit in your corner and be to yourself. Like I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole, but he's that guy. Like he's to himself. He's nice to everybody, but he's very much like he sticks to himself. But once you kind of get through that wall, like there's not anything that guy won't do for you.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
actually still have. He gave me a jacket that he used to wear, a ring jacket. I still have that in my closet to this day. I still keep hold of it.
And you bring up like a great point, and I bring it up a lot on the show, like on different episodes and stuff like that. But like, great mentors are everything. Like everything. Like, yeah, you have your trainers and you have great trainers and stuff like that. But it's always the guys who aren't attached to your school that do so much for you outside of it. And that's what really matters. Like, I know that I can jump in Cade's DMs anytime and just shoot him a message and say, "Hey, what's up?" and just talk to him about whatever. But
Yep.
it's so cool to like be able to have someone like that. And that was just like I said, like even for me, like that relationship was something that I just didn't see. And just being able to sit back and pick his brain now and talk to him and listen to him tell me stories about things that he's like experienced and things like that, things that he likes to do, things he doesn't like to do. Like, it's cool. It's a great time to like listen to him too. And oh man, it was funny. I popped. So I'm gonna tell the story. Sorry, Cade. I'll probably get punished for this later. But uh so we're at intermission and there's this dude walking around with his championship belt. And he says, "Whoever can chop me the hardest gets this belt," right? And he's been bugging Cade for months to chop him. And this man takes off his shirt, and I'm at the show, and I'm not even paying attention. This dude takes off his shirt, and I'm like talking to a kid, and I just hear "swack," and it's like, "Oh!" And the guy's like, "Yeah, that was a good one," and I was like, "Jesus, it sounds like a shotgun went off in here." And Cade was like, "I don't like hitting people." I was like, "Thank God I wore my vest in our match. I'm so glad I did."
Yeah, dude, like that. Like I said, man, he is one of the most reserved, like nice, calm, polite people you ever meet, man. It's like, but piggybacking off that mentor thing, I'm fortunate to say Stockade has been a big mentor to me, but also I've been mentored by Mr. Grimm, um, and
Another good one.
yeah, like when you talk about having people that are not inherently attached to your school, like Mr. Grimm was trained by the same trainer, but by the time I had got brought up, he was already branched out doing his own thing. But really, without Mr. Grimm, I would have never got to the point to have the quality match that I had with Stockade at H2O to get that job. So it's it's awesome to have people that mentor you and like you can go to that is it's off the beaten path because a lot of times like wrestling is perspective and when you have a multitude of different perspectives to kind of get ideas or get advice because as well as I do you may come to me with an idea and I go I don't really feel that but then you take the same idea to like let's say you give it to Grimm right Grimm's like, oh, that's dope. So, and then we both tweak it our own way, and then you take that advice from two different people, ball it together, and then boom, you have a great product. And like, Grimm was the first person to get me to travel farther and farther and farther. Um, I remember the first time I traveled with Grimm. The longest I had traveled prior to this was like 2.5, or I'm sorry, it was 5 hours to West Virginia for my very first booking. Awful. It was like in the middle of like a mountain, like no service, like the Dairy Queen hadn't been remodeled in 30 years. It was horrendous. But you know, anyhow, so I did that and then every show after that was only like an hour and a half, an hour, 2.5 hours. The first trip I ever did with Grimm, we went to Georgia, which was 13 hours one way. Got there, tag we teamed together as a tag team, wrestled in a steel cage that for some reason the promoter wanted us to be on the outside of the ropes and tag in. Well, at that time, I was like 450 pounds, so I didn't fit. It was like putting me against the cheese grater. Just all my fat was going through all the chain link fence. So Grim looks at me and he's like, "No, we're just gonna do tornado tag." And we get in and just start doing the tornado tag. Wrestle the cage match, get out, get dressed, and we get right back in the car and haul ass back another 13 hours back home.
Mm.
And you know, then we did Indiana 3 times, I think, in a week. We literally drove 9 hours there, 9 hours back, went home, slept, got back in the car, went back. Like he really is the first person to get me out and travel and like see the country. And like he also, I give him a lot of credit for making me a better performer, because a lot of times, and this is why it's good to have a mentor, you kind of cap off with your trainers. Like your trainer can only get you to a certain point, but you'll be surprised that the different in perspective can make you better. And that's all it really is like once you cap out at one perspective, you go to another one, and their advice resonates not necessarily better, but just in a different way, and it gives you different abilities. And like without guys like Grim and like Stockade and the mentor, mentoring people like me and yourself, like that's what makes wrestling go round. You know what I mean? Because now I find myself in a mentor role. I'm sure you find yourself in a mentor role with certain folks. Like
Yeah.
it all comes full circle, but that's what makes it all go round. Constantly giving back to the people that are under you and just trying to mold. And it just, yeah.
It trips me out when people ask me for advice because
Yeah,
I'm
me
like,
too.
yo, I was like, listen, man, year 6 is in January, bro. Like, I'm not that much older than you. And they're like, yeah, but like, you've been to places I want to get to. I was like, dog, there are places I'm still trying to get to.
Yep. And that's like the forever like imposter syndrome I have is like I have a group of people calling me their trainer, and I'm like, I don't feel fit to be called a trainer. Like, yes, I'm at training every weekend. I'm drilling with you guys, but like I don't see fit to be called a trainer. And I'm 9 years in the business. Like I could be 30 and I still would just feel awkward about that. Like it's crazy because like you said, they go, well, you've done things that I would like to do, and I'm like, well, I'm still checking off my list. Like I'm nowhere near done. Like you said, ACW, maybe MCW. Like I would love to wrestle for MCW, but that's not something I've checked off my list. Like I'm just gonna keep working at it, and if I get it, I get it. Awesome. But if I don't, I'm just gonna keep working. But like that checklist is something crazy. Like it, and it never ends. For
Right.
every one thing you get, there's 5 more to follow on the list.
Right.
I wanted to wrestle for ACW full time. Started doing that. ACW does traveling shows. They go to Kansas. They're getting ready to go to Texas. They have 2 dates in Texas. They have another date in South Carolina. We just did Kansas and Durham, North Carolina this past week. When I wrestled for them full time in Maryland, then I wanted to go and do the traveling shows. Now I'm doing the traveling shows. Now I want to do all the traveling shows. Like it never ends. Like it just, you're always going to have a checklist no matter what. And I feel like the pinnacle of that checklist for everybody is WrestleMania, and very few people will ever hit that checklist.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, right now it's like, all right, so there's like 3 states that I want to knock off my checklist real quick, which is New York, New Hampshire, and Vermont. And there's already leads into those. I just if it happens, it happens this year. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's crazy because like you talk about traveling, like I get in a car and I drive 8 hours one way, work a show, drive 8 hours back. And I'm like, this is, to me, it's insane that like we do this willingly.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's crazy to me to think that there's like so much that goes on as far as like the travels go. And I always, and it's funny because like I'll put it up on Facebook, and I think a lot of people know like I live in Massachusetts now. Like I don't live in Maryland anymore. So like I'm always like throwing options out there like, hey, if you guys want to come work a show down in XYZ, just come with me. And I don't have very many connections in I have connections in Massachusetts. I don't have a lot of them,
Right.
but nobody ever takes me up on the offers. But people will always put my names out, but nobody wants to come ride with me. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm the smelly one because apparently that's what everybody's doing. I was like, all right, man. Well, I'm just gonna go drive by myself and just get down and get back. So, but and it's funny because like O'Shea Edwards is another mentor of mine, and I watch him like drive from Frederick, Maryland, all the way to he was up at grind wrestling and at Grind Pro Wrestling. He was there and he worked his match, stayed for intermission. Him and I took a photo together. He jumped in the truck and him and Griffith and Gigantor. It's not Gigantor anymore, but Gigantor. They all went back down. Andrew. They all went back down. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, mm, all right, that's normal.
Yeah, like it's to the regular person, what we do is absolutely astronomically insane. Like there's no rationalizing it. It's the only rationale there is you love the game. You got love for the game, and you're gonna just keep hustling. Um, but yeah, like fortunately, like I've graduated from just solely in the car to now I'm doing flights, and even the flights are long. Like it's like, and I'm a big dude. I'm a big dude. So yeah, it's and you get there, you work, and it's just pure bliss. And like people don't understand that. Like, well, it takes so much time to get there, and then you got to get a rent a car, you got to get a hotel, or you just drove X amount of hours. And it's like, yeah, but that 15 minutes wrestling is the most therapeutic thing you'll ever experience in your life.
Yeah.
For me, like for some people, it's definitely not worth it. And I never pass judgment on guys who don't want to travel. They're very content with what they do, and that's dope. But for me, I always want more. Enough is never enough. Good could always, best could always be better. Good is never good enough. Like it never stops. And it's just like I've learned there's people like me that just it never ends, and then there's some people that find their niche and they're like content. But for me, I think I don't think there will ever come a point in time where I look at this as a hobby and treat it as a hobby.
Yeah.
Um, even with 5-month old son, like I still treat this like another job on top of my a regular job. It never ends. I treat this as a business. I treat it as a job, and most people look at it as, oh, it's your hobby. It's like, no, like this is a job to me. Does the pay reflect the effort?
No.
Usually not, but that's not what people do this for. You can pray. I mean, all you can do is really hope and pray that one day it all works out for you. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I do. Like I hope and pray that all those miles, all those hours, like all the times I've had to eat a gas station taquito because nothing else is open and I'm starving half to death. Like, I hope one day it all culminates and it's all worth it. But as well as I do, nobody has a way of knowing that, because if
Right.
there was a detailed plan or a map to be successful in this business, like everybody would follow it. There would be no independent circuit. There would be no shows for you and me to do.
Nope.
Like if everybody was successful, like most of us would be weeded out if everybody was a success. If everybody was making major money, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's wild to me too, man, because I think about like the travels and stuff like that, and a lot of people ask me, they're like, "Man, I can't believe that you would drive 8-9 hours for a wrestling show." It's like, yeah, but and this is what I always say back: where can I go and work for 10 minutes and make $20? Let's just say like that was my cost. Where am I gonna go to get something like that? You're not gonna find it. I was like, and not only that, like the amount of cheers and it's funny because like in this business, like I hear a lot people talk about all the time, like this business is a drug. Like when you bust like there's no feeling outside of like your kid being born. there's no feeling that compares to what it's like to come through a curtain and either get cheered or booed. There's just no feeling out there like it. And I think about that all the time. And I'm like, I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't actively doing this and like, being a personal trainer, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be like, bro, I'd be bored with my life.
Yeah, and that's my thing is when people ask how much money I make or is it really worth it? Is all of that really worth it? The only thing I will ever say is I'm not going to throw numbers out there. I'm not going to try and justify anything to anybody. But the way that I put it, and I will forever put it this way, no matter if I'm on the independent circuit or by the grace of God, I'm main eventing WrestleMania. This is what cures my mental health struggles. Like, this is the serotonin my brain so desperately needs because it lacks it naturally. And that's what I do it for, like, and yeah, like without this, when I left it impacted me, you know what I mean? And I didn't understand how severely it impacted me whilst I took that break. It wasn't until I came back and I felt rejuvenated and I felt the positives of it that I was like, holy shit. Like, I went years without feeling this. And that's why I always would do like 1 to 3 matches a year because I would
Mm.
fiend for it. I used to say I was doing it just to say I never quit the business, but really I see it now. It's my brain was fiending for it. Like, it is like a drug because it gives you that boost of serotonin and it makes you feel, you know, this might sound vain, but it makes you feel more important than you really are. It makes you feel like a rock star. It makes you feel important. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It gives you, for people who lack a sense of self worth, it makes you feel a sense of self worth, like you are performing. And these people give a shit about everything you do, whether you're the bad guy or the good guy. You know what I mean? But if they're reacting, you mean something,
Yep.
and it's and in the most diluted, dysfunctional way, it's a beautiful thing. Like, and I don't think many people outside of the business will ever understand that because they've never experienced it.
Right. And that was the thing too, because like I know for me, like there was a moment where like I was talking about it and people were just like, "Oh yeah, really? Is it like that?" I said, "Yeah, come check out a show. I promise you. You come check out a show. You watch what happens. You'll see. There's a whole different like perspective of like who I am versus like the character I play, and then there's a whole different perspective of like how you're gonna interpret this business once you see it." And I'll give perfect examples. My sister in law, she came to one of our shows, and not a wrestling fan, just not. Her My brother-in-law is a massive wrestling fan, and my wife used to watch wrestling too, and my daughter, clearly,
Mhm.
uh, she's also kind of like an active fan too. Uh, they watched it Bliss through the curtain, and they just exploded. And then they saw that was a bad guy, and they're like, they didn't care. I have the video. You can hear my sister-in-law just full voice, "No mercy." I was laughing so hard. Like I was trying to keep everything composed and stuff, but man, it was so funny when like people like understand. And then even she said it, she was like, it's not for me, but being there live is so different than watching it on TV. And I'm like, absolutely. I was like, now you kind of understand like the the thrill that you get out of it, and like the everything just explodes through, and you're like, I'm here for this ride.
Now imagine being the performer. If you feel that way just watching, imagine being the person in the ring, doing the act. Like, it's
Yep.
it's just truly amazing. And I challenge any wrestling fan who, if you have aspirations of being in the business, even if for whatever reason you can't be a wrestler, go to a school, be a part of the business. You might have to eat some flack, you might have to work a little bit to get what to get your comeuppance. But man, I, do it, do it. It'll be the best decision you've ever made. At times, you're gonna ask yourself, "What the hell am I doing? What did I really get myself into?" but 9 out of 10 times you will have positive thoughts about this. There will
Yeah.
always be that one time, you do this for years, you do anything for years, you're gonna think negative of it here and there. But like for I was disgruntled with wrestling for those years. I took a break. I was disgruntled about things, political shit. Again, not to dive down that rabbit hole, but I was very disgruntled. But it wasn't until I came back that I was like, man, like the pros definitely outweigh the cons in this. And yeah, like it just, I don't think anybody truly understands what it does for a person like me who really needs that serotonin in their life because of personal struggles. Like without wrestling, like I yeah, I would be lost. Like, and I've only been back since May, and
Yeah.
I can't believe I was gone for those few years that I was. I still competed here and there because I couldn't let it go fully, but you know, I couldn't imagine like not hitting it full speed the way I am right now. Like without it, like, ugh, yeah.
Yo, so I want to take this over to before actually, and I don't know if we did this with you, but we had the 3 count podcast 10 count questions, which is what's part of now entering the ring. But on this show, we like to do pin, submit, DQ. So really, I'm going to name off 3 entities, and you got to pin one, submit one, and DQ one. Everybody else knows this game as murder, kill. Y'all know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give you. We're gonna do 3 rounds, 3 entities, right? First entity that we're gonna do is very familiar. A lot of folks know these people. Sicken, Matt Wild, and Jason Drake.
I would DQ second because I tend to do that anyway. I'm always hitting him with a gimmick, so DQ second. Um, I would submit Jason Drake because I feel like it'd be very easy to just choke him half to death. He's lanky, so
Yeah,
I think I could catch a limb and just snap it, and pin Matt.
I like it. I like it. So we're gonna switch this over to uh, I don't know, another group of people, right? We're gonna go with uh Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the originals, right? So we have the Red Ranger, the Green Ranger, and the Black Ranger. So Tommy, Jason, and Zach.
It's a good one. The Red Ranger, Green Ranger, the Black Ranger, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. I like how this one's more. Uh, I'm giving more thought to this than the other. I would have to pin the Red Ranger because he's iconic. I would probably have to do the job to him if you think about it. I would I would submit the Green Ranger. I feel like he wouldn't give me as much problems, and I would have to hit the Black Ranger with a gimmick. So yeah, we'll call it that.
I like it. And the last one of this randomness that I like to pull together. Let's go with Doug from Nickelodeon, SpongeBob, and Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life.
Pin SpongeBob again. I would feel like I'd have to do the job to SpongeBob. I can't even get the pin. He would have to pin me. Um, it was SpongeBob, Doug, and who else?
Rocco.
Rocco. Submit Rocco and DQ Doug.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
because
hitting.
DQ and Doug sound alike. But
I'm
I would
hitting.
have to do the job to SpongeBob though. I'm
Yeah.
firm on that
I was like, I'm hitting Doug. I don't care if he's Quail Man or not. I'm hitting him with pork chop, like his dog. Just
one.
he used the dog to beat you, bruh. Somebody out there is gonna be like, "What the fuck, bruh?" All right. Look, so those are our last rounds. So the last thing I got for you though is just to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
All right, so let me preface this. I am horrible with dates. I literally have a calendar in my phone, a traditional calendar, and a notebook for a calendar. But this weekend, August 30th, I think it is, this Saturday,
Yep.
is Delmarva Digest. They're doing an event for mental health awareness, and I will be a part of that. I have a big match in Red Lion for ACW against AK Bain. I believe that is September 19th, which is a Friday. And what else do I have?
You got Titan.
Titan, yeah. Thank you. Titan on the 13th of September.
There we go.
I'll
And
be
again,
making my return.
and then again, like always, you can catch him on the traveling shows with ACW, and then just out and about, with Adrenaline Championship Wrestling out of Baltimore, Maryland. So be on the lookout for him there. But he told you that also, Mason. What's your handles? Don't you have a bunch of social media?
At Book Mason Martin.
There you go.
That is TikTok and Instagram, and then Mason Martin on Facebook.
So he gave you the handles. He told you where you could find him. And like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast, which is now entering 201. And I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. And the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And, like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's into the ring. So who's into the ring? You see him right there, the Maryland murder machine himself, Mason Martin. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately following us on all of our social media platforms. You're checking us out on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're checking us out on Spotify. You're listening to us on Amazon Music. You're even checking us out on that dumb app with the stupid jingle that goes iHeartRadio or whatever it is. You're buying our merch on foryourwear.com or on prowrestlingtees.com. You're telling your mom about it, your dad about it, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your grandmas, your grandpas, your best friends and your enemies, because we love haters too. You're doing all that stuff, or really you're just kind of waiting for this episode to end, waiting for the outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii! What's up? It is your friendly neighborhood Red Dog, and thank you for checking out this episode of the 3 Count Podcast. Whether that was Chaz friends, Red Dog friends, Damien friends, the Film Styles, now into the ring, now entering 201, or now returning to the ring, all those good episodes. You should really be liking, commenting, and even sharing this with your friends, family, whoever it may be. But what you all should be doing is checking us out on all of our social media platforms at 3 Count Pod, whether that's on IG, Twitch, you can check us out on Threads, whatever it may be. And if you go check us out on X, it is 3count_pod. Check us out on YouTube, as well as Facebook, on Rumble, on Apple Music, on Spotify, all those fun things. Tell your mom about us, your dad about us, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and your best friends and your enemies, because we love haters too. Do all that stuff. And then, last but not least, buy our merch on foryourwear.com or prowrestlingtees.com. Kawaii!